You're alive. Okay, cool.
That's better.
Quiz. So it says given the system of equations, and then we have x minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9, and then y equals negative x minus 4 squared plus 5. So it says determine what type of graphs each equation represents. So the first one, isn't that, that's not the circle equation, is it? Because doesn't the circle equation?
It is a circle.
It is?
I think so.
Let's see. I think, as I say, we can use our calculators, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to graph it just to see what it looks like.
It says we can use our textbook and notes, so I think I took notes of this.
Oh, I guess you can't graph it until you put it into y equals form. So I'm going to use a different calculator real quick. Oh, I guess you can't use outside resources. Whoops, I forgot this is a quiz.
It says you can use our textbook notes and calculator.
Okay, let's check the text then.
So x squared plus y squared equals whatever is a circle. So 9 would be the radius, or 9 squared.
So it says x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And then it says the radius is hk. That's the center. Or that's the center, sorry.
Okay.
Wait, can you say that again so I can write that down here?
Oh, sorry. So it's the standard equation of a circle.
So standard equation. Oh, is that? Wait, is that for the A part?
Yeah.
Because isn't it just to identify it?
Yeah, A, determine what type of graph the equation. So that first one is the one he's talking about.
Okay.
Oh, but here's the thing though. So they have it. So this is the circle equation. It's an addition problem. So this one's subtraction.
Oh.
So what I'm thinking is, since it's the opposite, would it mean it would be the opposite of a circle? So it'd be like two parabolas coming close to each other?
Well, so on homework, lesson 2, homework problem, I don't know if you guys keep track of it, but homework problem number 6 had where you had to graph the two different ones, and the one that was the x squared plus y squared equals the number was a circle.
Okay.
Remember that at all?
I think so. I'm just saying, well, like what the book was saying was the x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. The addition in the middle puts it as a circle. But since this is a subtraction, I feel like it would flip it, wouldn't it? I don't remember what I think it. What is it called? A hyperbole?
Hyperbole?
Hyperbole? Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Hold on just one second. I'm gonna try. I don't know. I think you're right. I don't think it is a circle because of the where it's the minus is.
Can we go off of the bottom one? I don't know if we can just use the bottom, because if we use just the bottom, then that's just a linear equation.
Well, the bottom equation is going to be
two different graphs. I think the first one, I think it's a circle, and I think the center is, so it's 4 and 2 is the center, and then the radius is 3 because it's r squared is 9.
Let's see here.
Just based off of this homework assignment, like, remember doing that where it's in the parentheses, and then since it's -4, it's actually positive for the center. If it was +4, it'd be -4.
So looking into the book again, I looked up more about the hyperbola. So the equation of a hyperbola is x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. So if you were to take this equation and you were to divide the 9 under each of them, it would put it in that standard form.
Okay.
So if you go to page 708, it's chapter 10, so we're not there yet, but I was just looking up what a hyperbola equation was. And if you go to the bottom right there,
So I'm just pulling up the book.
do you see that yet?
Sorry, just barely pulling up.
Oh, no worries. Do you see that, Antonio?
Yeah, but you think it'll just split it like that then?
I would say so, because I'm just saying it's in the subtraction form.
So, okay, look on page 541.
541.
Okay.
There's a circle. It says that h and k, so it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So that fits that formula where it's x minus 4. And then h and k are the radius, and then 9 is r squared, so then it would be the square root, so it would be 3.
You're right. You're right. I don't know what I was looking at. Don't listen to me.
So it would just be the circle then?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Monique. I kept arguing against you. I don't know what I was thinking.
No, you're good. I wrote
it down weird, that's why.
You what?
I wrote it down weird.
Oh.
Forgive me. Whatever.
It's all good.
Okay, so the first one's a circle, and then the next one is a parabola.
Yes.
Circle and a parabola?
Yeah, facing down because of the
negative.
minus.
I
don't know if that matters in the type of graph, but
I'll just put downward facing parabola.
sounds like a yoga move.
Okay, and then B. So B says list the number of possible solutions when given the 2 function types you listed in part A. So we know for the parabola there's going to be 2 solutions, right? Since it's a parabola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the circle, it would be 2 as well, right?
Yeah, I think there's a total of 4.
So 4 solutions?
Yeah.
That's what
the
I would
circle
say.
Would have 2?
Yeah, since the x minus 4 is squared, so since it's squared, it's there's a possibility of 2, because a circle is like putting 2 parabolas together, isn't it?
I think there's actually there's going to be 4 sets of numbers, but I think only 2 solution sets in parentheses, because it's just where the line is. Oh, but it's intersection. Never mind.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
I think it has to be 4 because there's a circle with the graph, and so each time that they connect is going to be a solution, right? So I think there's going to be 4 different solutions.
Right. Well, I guess.
What?
Well, we have x minus 4. So the x's in both of them, they're both x minus 4. So wouldn't the solutions be the same?
Say list the possible number of possible solutions.
Yeah, so I get, so there's going to be 4 solutions, but all the 2 and 2 are going to be the same, right? Because we have x minus 4 in the first one, and then we have x minus 4 again in the second one. So isn't the circle going to intersect at the same points where the parabola is?
So let's graph it so we can kind of see.
I would say just skip to C, the part C, and then you could go back and write down based off of the graphs.
Yeah.
So the center of the circle is going to be 4, 2. With 3 as the radius.
You said 3 as the radius?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
And then, do you remember how to find the vertex of a parabola?
The vertex is
4, 5, I think, right? Because 4 plus the other one, so I think that's where it starts, is positive 4 as x, and then y is 5.
Yes, I believe so. Well, I guess you'd need to simplify it first, right? You need to factor out, because there's a plus 5, right?
And I think that's with the formula. I think that's the vertex, and then we have to then figure out how to the different points of it.
Oh, okay. Stop talking.
I'm not 1,000% sure. So
it says the vertex of a parabola is HK. So the formula is f of x equals a parentheses x minus 8 squared plus k. So yes,
I think h is 4 and then k is 5, right?
Yes, you're right. So 4.
I don't know if we actually need to find points, but it actually looks like if we have the point.
So is your vertex on the circle as well?
Yeah, at the top of the circle, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we do need to find some points to see how far it goes on either side to see if it.
Yeah. So could we just set the second equation to 0 to find the x-intercepts?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's try that then. When I simplify it, I get negative x squared plus 8x minus 11. When I simplify it out.
So you're breaking apart the squared?
Yeah, so I factored out the squared part first.
Could we just, I don't know if this is just a curious question. Could we just pick values of x and just plug it into that whole equation, or do you have to simplify it? But you just like pick x as like 1 and then put that in that whole y equals negative x plus 4 squared? Or does that not work?
Oh, yeah, we can plug in points. Goodness gracious. So if we did 1, it'd be 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. Negative 3 squared would be 9. But then it changes back to a negative because of the outside, right?
Yeah.
Then you get negative 9 plus 5, which is negative 4, correct?
Yeah, so 1, negative 4, that's what I get.
So 1, negative 4. All right, and then for 2, we get for 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. And then changes back to a negative, so it's negative 4 plus 5, which is 1, right?
Are you for 2?
So 2, I got positive 1. Does that work, or?
For 2, I got negative 31.
Negative 31?
Yeah, hold on. I probably. Oh, I think I did send that. I totally did. Sorry.
No worries.
Those are getting too far though. So maybe we do have to simplify it so we can get like. We need to get y in the positive range so that we can see where it goes in the circle.
Well, I guess we only have to sketch it, so we don't have to get super exact.
That's true. So we know, okay, so our circle goes.
I guess if we should do some, I guess we should finish out the points for the parabola, so that's a little bit more accurate. Because she is always like telling me, or she's always telling us how we have to like put some points down so she can actually see. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for 2, so for x equals 2, I got 1. So there's 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, but then it changes to a negative 4 because of the negative on the outside. And then negative 4 plus 5 is 1. And then for 3, it'll be 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. And negative 1 squared is 1, and then changes to negative 1, plus 5, which is 4. So 3 is 4. And then we already have the vertex.
Mm-hmm.
So then 5 would be 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 squared is 1.
So 4.
Plus 5 is 4.
And negative 1, 4.
And then 6 would be, it has to be 1, 2 because it's a parabola, right?
Yeah.
And then 7 would go down to negative 4 again. So then we sketch it, sketch our parabola. And then we see where the circle, or we can kind of see where the circle and the parabola intersect each other. Do you have that sketch, Antonio?
Yeah.
Okay. So next one. So solve the system of equations. Give exact answers. So
We already have y isolated on the bottom, so could we just plug that into the top to get x?
do we want to simplify it first so it's a little easier to work with?
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay. So squared. That comes out to be x squared x squared minus x plus 16, and then plus 5 on the outside. And then we distribute the negative to each, or to the inside. So it turns out to be negative x squared plus 8x minus 16 plus 5. Then you simplify the negative 16 and the 5. So it simplifies down to negative x squared plus 8x minus 11. That's what y equals.
Yeah.
And then now we just plug that into y to the first equation. There's x minus 4 squared plus, and then on the inside we have negative x squared plus 8x minus 11 minus 2, all that squared equals 9. So you just have to simplify, so add the negative 11 and the 2, or the negative 2. You get negative, so then you get negative x squared plus x minus 13. Is that right?
Yeah.
I started with the first one.
Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I just did the FOIL part on the first one to try to get it all out, but
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we can. Yeah, we'd probably. Yeah. So now we have to foil the part, or we have to foil the both of them, right?
yeah.
First one. So we've already. So that one's going to be x squared minus 8x plus. And this one. So you have to. This one's going to be longer. So let's see here. So when you foil the first one, or the first number.
You can have it, but I'm not 100% sure.
You think you have it?
Yeah, but if someone else wants to do it so I can see.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Because it's kind of crazy long.
X to the fourth, 8x to the third, plus 13 squared, x to the third, plus 64x squared, minus, what's 13? 1 shoot. Oh yeah. Minus 104 plus 13x squared, minus 1 plus 16. And you have to add all the like.
Yeah, I got like an x to the fourth, x to the third, x to the second, x, and then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just adding them all up together right now. Okay, I think I got it as well. So I got x to the fourth minus 16x to the third plus 90x squared minus 208x plus 169.
Oh. Was that just the one side or all together?
That's just the one side.
Oh, okay. I got a little bit different, so let me. I got x to the fourth minus 16x cubed plus 91x squared minus 216x plus 185.
Oh, is that all added together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me do that part then. I just did the right.
Oh, just the one side. Okay. 208x plus what was 169 at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I got too.
Okay. So we're on the same page right there.
Yeah.
I just have to add that. Yeah, so I got what did you say the last part was? 185?
185?
Okay, yeah, so I got x to the fourth minus 16 x to the third plus 91x squared minus 216x plus 185.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Okay. And then we have to, so we need to subtract 9, right? From that, to set it to equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then
176.
yeah. All that equal to 0.
Or should we put the 185 on the other side so we can factor out an x?
Yeah, we can do that, right?
Yeah, and then we can move it back after it's factored, I think. Oh, I guess we technically don't need to go over again.
No, we can do that. So x to the fourth minus 16x to the third, 91 plus 91 x squared minus 216x, and then what's the other side equal? Negative 176, right?
176. And then we can move that one positive 176 back, and it would be negative 216 plus 176, so it would be negative 40.
Wait, say that again?
Oh, so I factored it, and then to put it back to 0, I added the 176 back. So it was a negative 216 after it was factored, and then you add 176. And so it's negative 40. So x cubed. So x and then x cubed minus 16x squared plus 91x minus 40.
Oh, you pulled the x out already.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I wasn't following. I didn't know where you
Oh, okay. Sorry.
heard me. That's the 176 back there. Okay, now I see. You got negative 40, right?
Yeah, negative 40.
Okay. All right, so we know one of our solutions is 0, right?
Yeah, because x equals 0.
Okay. And then I guess for this part, couldn't we do what's that one, synthetic division? Where you find the multiples of the intercept and the first coefficient together?
Yeah, I don't remember how to do that.
I'm trying to remember how it was because I don't remember how to factor this from a third.
Could we move, so on the other side, move the 40 back to the other side of the equation and factor out another x and then do factoring?
Yeah, I think so. Well, no, because the x is attached. So it's in the parentheses, so you'd have to get rid of the x first.
Well, because don't we set x equals to 0 and then the x squared, that whole parentheses equal to 0 again as a second equation?
Oh, yeah. Gosh dang it.
And then from there, factor out another x.
Yeah. So let's try that. So x third minus 16x plus 91x minus 4 equals 40, right? When you move it over.
Yeah.
You plot another x, so you'll have to have x squared minus 16x plus 91 equals 40. And then you wouldn't be able to get something out of 16, right, to get to 91. So you'd have to use the quadratic, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I know we've already started this, but since we have lots of u's, like up where we have the x to the fourth, could we have substituted the u equals u squared or whatever, that thing? Would that have been easier?
I guess we could have done it just would have, or
I think, because I think that was like one of our homework ones where it was like the m and n's
I
equal.
don't remember how to use the u again.
So you just substitute, like you let u equal the x squared.
Then it would be u squared minus 16ux.
Maybe we can't do it because I don't think we can have a cubed. I think it has to be either 4 or 2.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So I think for this one we're gonna have to use the quadratic just out of that parabola right there, right? So x equals negative e, so negative 16 plus or minus the square root e squared, so negative 16 squared minus 4 times a times c, so 4 times 1 times 91, all over 2a, which is 2. Then you get 16 plus or minus, what's 16 times 16? 256, so 256 minus 4 times 91, 364 all over 2. So if we do 256 minus 364, you get negative 108 on the inside of the.
Guys, I'm having a really hard time hearing you guys. I don't think I've gotten like half of what you said.
I'm kind of getting that too.
So what part are you on, Antonio? What do you have written down?
I don't know. You've lost me a long time ago. I've been trying to like figure it out, but because I can only hear like parts of what you're saying.
So do you have your paper? Can you hold up your paper real quick?
Well, I got a whole lot of mess. A whole lot of mess. I don't have anything really. I was like confused. I lost you guys in like the first part.
Okay, so you have. So we simplified the y equals equation, right?
Yeah.
And what did you get from that?
Well, I got the first time I did it, I got x squared minus 8x plus 21. And then I did it again, and that time I got negative x squared plus 8x minus 11.
So that's what that.
I didn't know what I did wrong there.
So the one with the negative 11, that's the correct one.
Okay.
That's the simplified one. Okay, and then we took that and we substituted that for y in the first equation.
And you simplified that one though, right? To the, let me see what I got. Wait, what did I do here? Oh, I did that wrong. So did you get x squared minus 8x plus 16 on the first part of it?
Yes.
And then on the y part you got the y squared minus minus 4y minus 4, right? Or not 4, minus 4 plus 4.
I don't know where you got that from.
We plugged the second equation in for y on that one. So then you have to do negative x plus 4 squared plus 5 minus 2.
Oh, so you didn't. That's what I was confused about right there. It was so you plugged that in before you simplified anything, right?
I think we simplified it and then we put it in for y.
Yes. So we simplified the y equals equation, and then we plugged it in for y into the first one.
Yeah, well, I'm saying on the first one, you plugged it in before you simplified that first one, right?
No, we
Or
simplified.
yeah. So that's what I'm getting, that y squared minus 4y plus 4 is from simplifying that second part, the y part.
The y. I don't know where you're getting the y from.
I think he's simplifying the y in the first equation and then
Yeah, the y minus 2 squared.
Oh, no. We plugged it in first.
Okay. Then I just got to go back and do that then. Okay.
So we plugged it in, and then what it becomes the new equation on the inside is negative x squared plus 8x minus 13. All of that squared.
Okay.
And then we factored that out, the second part. So then what me and Monique got was x to the fourth minus 16x to the third plus 90x squared minus 208x plus 169. That's what the second part is. We haven't added the two yet together.
You said plus 208, right? X? Or minus 208x?
Minus 208x.
Minus.
Okay. Plus 169.
Okay.
All right, and then when you add the two together, what it comes out to be is, well, where was it, Monique? It was x to the fourth minus 16x cubed plus 91x squared minus 216x plus 185 equals 9.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the next step we went from there is we subtracted 185 to the other side so that we have all the x's on the left side, and we were going to pull an x out from there. So then we got x to the fourth minus 16x cubed plus 91x squared minus 216x equals negative 176.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second, so then we pulled the x out on the left side. So we have x parentheses, and then in the parentheses we have x squared or x cubed minus 16x squared plus 91x minus 216 equals negative 176.
Okay.
And then the next step is we added the 176 back over into the parentheses. And then the parentheses, so then it becomes x parentheses x cubed minus 16x squared plus 91x minus 40 parentheses equals 0.
Wait, so you added the 176 to that negative 216?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Now that I think about it, if it's in the parentheses, I don't.
That's what I'm confused about. Why
Oh,
would you put it into that?
I don't
that's
think we can
true.
put it
You
in the
can't.
parentheses.
Because if you put the x back, then it becomes an x and not by itself. You're right.
Okay, so that's where we're at then. So we have x outside of x cubed minus 16x squared plus 91x minus 216 equals negative 176. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we need to figure out where to go from here.
And this one kind of sucks, doesn't it?
It reminds me of when we did that, the one thing with the the long L thing.
That's what Mitch said. So maybe we do need to do that.
That's what I was saying is a synthetic division.
I don't remember how to do that though. So
The
you guys remember how to do that?
A little bit. I gotta go back.
kind of.
I know that you have to start with the first X, or I don't think.
So you have to figure out what your possible. So you have to figure out. Shoot. What am I trying to say?
Actually, if we do synthetic division, we don't even have to take that first X out.
That's true.
We can just take the 9 from the right side and just have it be subtracted from the 185 instead of taking it to the right side.
Okay, let's try
I'll
that.
work that out. I'll work that out.
So you're saying leave it all in the original form?
Yeah. So instead of pulling out the x, we'll leave it as x to the fourth and do long division that way.
Okay, so plus 176 equals 0 instead of subtracting it to the other side.
Yeah.
And if we were going to do synthetic division, we'd have to find those factors again, right? We'd have to have the factors of 176.
Which 2 and 88.
And they're plus or minus, right? Plus or minus 2, plus or minus 88, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 43, Oh no, I'm doing something. Sorry, my bad. Plus or minus 44, not 43. So plus or minus 8 and plus or minus 22. Plus or minus 11 and plus or minus 16.
I'm looking through the book and I'm starting to think I don't think we can do the synthetic division. Because in the book, if you go to page 202, they actually give you what to divide it by. And I don't know if you have to like find a different thing to divide by.
Well, so this way, so it's not exactly, so it's not synthetic division, it's using the rational zero theorem. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So if you go to 206, in the rational zero theorem, they use synthetic. So they find out what their possible zeros could be, and then they use those in the synthetic division.
So do they start with a 1 then?
Yes,
On
so
the,
it'd
okay.
be plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 176 as well. And then the other ones would be 2, 4, 8, 11, 16, 22, 44, and 88.
Wait, you said 2, 4, 8, 11,
16,
16.
22, 44, 88, and 176. Is that what you got, Monique?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there's 10 possible ones. So does everyone want to take 3 or 2 and try to do them real quick?
So remember, we set up on the first line. So 1, negative 16, 91, negative 216, and 176.
Yes.
And then we times it by that and you just bring it down. Okay, I think
So I'll do the first 3. So I'll do 1, 2, and 4. And then whoever wants to do the next ones, just let everybody else know.
I'll do 11 and 22 and 16. 11, 16, 22. $11 plus and minus are both not right.
What was that?
11 plus and minus are both not correct.
Okay.
Okay, Matt, you're gonna restart your computer. Oh, you have. Oh.
Okay, so ones are
Yeah, I
not.
don't know anything about computers. Sorry. I think all of these ones, the 11, 16, and 22, are going to be too high. It has to be one of the smaller numbers.
Well, if
Matthew,
you look at our graph, they're all going to be positives. So I guess we can forget about the negatives.
that's true.
They're on the first quadrant. Does that make sense?
I'm so done with this class.
Honestly.
Oh my goodness.
So I got close. So the positive 2 gave me a remainder of 4. So that's not it. So I'm going to try positive 4 and see what that gives me. It should be, hopefully this turns out correct. Yes.
Okay. What if, I don't know if this would work, on that first equation, what if we took the square root of everything to get rid of the second power? Can you do that? And would that make it x to the minus 4 plus y minus 2 equals 3? And then can we plug it in, and then it wouldn't be as easy? Is that even something that you can do?
I think you honestly may have just found it an easier way. So you're
I feel like it shouldn't be this hard.
you're saying the first equation.
Yeah.
Root
Like
of
if we
each.
started at just like square rooting everything, and that takes away the power, and then we can plug that in, and then it wouldn't be as like as many x's or x to the powers.
Okay, so then we
That
get
makes
x
sense?
4 plus, and then we plug in the second equation, right?
Yeah.
So that negative x squared plus 8x minus 11.
Yeah. Minus 2 equals 3. And that's a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, let's try that. Make if you do honestly.
So I got that. Let me see if that's right. X squared minus 9x plus 20 if you move the 3 over.
Plus 20?
Yeah, plus 20. And then that can factor down to x minus 5 and x minus 4 plus 4 minus 4. Final answer, right? If you factor it down. And then that would give x is 5 and x is 4. That's 2 possible answers. And then we'd have to plug that back into the y equation to get the y values.
So you put in negative x squared plus x minus 11 for y, right?
Yeah. So I don't know on this grouping here.
So when I I got negative x squared minus 9x minus 20 equals 0.
So it's a negative 11 from the other one, and then negative 2 from the other equation.
Yeah.
And then combining it with the x minus 4, so negative 4, negative 11, and negative 2. That's how I got negative 17.
Yeah.
And then I've moved the 3 over, and so that makes it negative x squared plus 9x minus 20. And then I times it by negative 1 to switch the sign. So x squared minus 9x plus 20. And then I factored it out to x minus 5 times x minus 4. And got x is equal to 5 and x is 4. And then I'm going to plug it back into the y equation, where it's negative. So then it would be negative x minus, so I'll do 5 minus 4 squared plus 5, and then I'll do it to with the 4, and then that will give us our 4 points, our 2 solution sets. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the first one is y squared is 1, so negative 1 plus 5. That's 4. So our first point is going to be 5, 4. And then our next one is going to be, x is going to be 4, and then that will be 4 minus 4 is 0, square is 0, minus 0 plus 5 is 5. So our next point is 4, 5.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Where are you guys right now?
So Monique just found 2 of the points.
For
so what part do you remember? Or what were you
we were splitting up all the points.
So we stopped doing that. So we went back to the first equation, and we took the square root of everything to get rid of the powers, and got x minus 4 plus y minus 2 equals 3. And then we plugged in y where we're not using the powers. And we got x minus 4 plus, and then negative x squared plus 8x minus 11 minus 2 equals 3. And then we just combined all the like terms. And then brought the 3 over, so then and then divided by negative 1 to get rid of the negative x. Got x squared minus 9x plus 20. And then we factored that out to x minus 5 times x minus 4, which gives us x equals 5 and x equals 4. And then we plugged those x values into the second equation and found y. And I think those are the only options, because we don't have any square roots to do it. So I think that is our solution set is.
What did you wait?
Can you see that?
Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
So I think those are our only 2 solutions for the equations.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I get it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to everybody? Or
No, that was extremely helpful. I'm glad you figured that out. You're making that way too complicated.
I think it's right because it makes sense and it factors nicely. It's not complicated, so I think that's the right answer. Okay. So that was the first question, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's go to number 2. How many is this? There's so many.
So there's 3 questions, but the third one has 3 parts.
Okay. So when Sarah and John work together, they can move their hand cart 3 miles in 5 hours. Sarah takes 1.5 hours longer to move the hand cart the same distance when she is working alone than it takes John. How long does it take John to move the handcart 3 miles when doing it by himself? Hint, it will take him longer when he works with Sarah.
So,
Okay. All right. Let's have Sarah be X and John be Y.
okay, we'll do that.
Maybe if we simplify things, right?
So Sarah and John work together. So if we had X plus Y, right?
Yeah. I think this is going to be a 3 equation one. One for them together, one for Sarah, and one for John.
Yeah. So if X plus Y equals 3 miles and 5 hours. So should we just keep it as a fraction? Or like a ratio?
Do that, because then we can times everything by a certain thing to get rid of all, right?
So X plus Y equals 3 over 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it says it takes Sarah 1.5 hours longer to move the handcart the same distance when she's working alone than it takes John.
So it would be 1.5x minus y. 1.5 times longer than John. Or plus y.
Well, yeah, would it be plus Y?
Yeah. Because you're adding it to John's plus her 1.5 times longer.
Yeah. And then we have to figure out how long does it take John to move the handcart 3 miles when doing it by himself. And it will take him longer than when he works with Sarah. Well, obviously.
Because Sarah's slowing him down.
Yeah, come on.
So then
Okay. So John takes Y, right? So John, we decided John was Y. Sarah, oh, I think we set hers. I think it should be X plus 1.5, right? Instead of times.
oh, yeah, I think you're right.
So we have John is Y, Sarah is X plus 1.5. And then in 1 hour, okay, I think if we set it, what, 1 hour.
If since we did 3 over 5 on the first one, wouldn't you just add the 1.5 to the bottom of that, and that would be what Sarah can do? The 3 over 6.5. Because it takes her the same amount of time to do that, or just an hour and a half longer to do that.
Oh, so it'd be 3 over 6.5.
Yeah, I that's what I think. I don't know if
No, that's what it's saying, because it's saying
But if we leave it as whatever over 5, then we can times the whole thing to get rid of the fraction. I mean, yes, we could do that with the other two.
So then you're saying, so were you saying X? So Sarah, so X would equal 3 over 6.5?
yeah, but I don't know. That's what I think, but I don't know what you guys wanna.
No, that's what it's saying, because if it takes her 1.5 hours longer to move the cart the same distance when she's working alone. So if it's just Sarah, it's going to be 3 miles in 6 hours.
Yeah.
So we don't know. So we don't know how many miles Sarah takes in 5 hours. So would it be just 1 over 5?
Well, it says Sarah just take so it says they
same
can move their handcart 3 miles. Yeah, it says the same distance, so it would still be the 3 miles. She just
Okay.
takes 1.5 hours more.
Okay. So sorry, what were you saying then? Do you think it's 3 equations?
I would honestly, I would. So, is there, maybe we can find an example in the book? Let me see here. I want to look it up. With the 3 variables. So there wasn't an example like that in the 3 variable section. Let me check the 2 variable.
Maybe check. I'm gonna see if I can look in the book. Maybe they have an example in the book. We can look at the book, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe this is what I'm thinking. So instead of having the X and Y be Sarah and John, our X's, so our X can be equal to hours, and the Y can be equal to distance.
Oh, that makes sense.
So when we have X and Y as
Hours and distance.
hours and distance, so then when Sarah and John work together, they can move the handcart 3 miles in 5 hours. I don't know if that makes sense now. Come on. See if I can still find it.
Do we need a Y? Because it's not asking how long, the distance. It's asking just time. So I think we maybe set everything up in X's.
But I feel like if you can get with the distance, you get rate as well. And so I don't know. I don't know. I'm still looking in the book. I'm just gonna see if I can find this.
How much are these quiz worth?
My head is starting to.
Yeah. My brain's not. It's kind of done. Is it worth enough?
Honestly. Honestly.
These get degrees, right?
I mean, as long as everybody has like a decent enough grade.
Just kidding. Well, you can keep trying. So there's on page 566, there's a modeling with systems of equation that works with protein and fiber.
Maybe there's something in the resources. Or actually, she didn't really give us any resources this week. It just did all in the textbook.
Yeah, it was all saying just look at the e-text. The only homework problem so far that I've done that has anything to do with this was that quarters and nickels thing.
Well, those ones are easier to figure out. This is
Yeah. Well, that's the only thing I've.
nothing to do with it. When Sarah and John work together, they can move the handcart 3 miles. Sarah takes 1.5 hours longer to move the handcart the same distance when she is working alone. Then it takes John. How long does it take John to move the handcart 3 miles when he's doing it by himself? It will take him longer than when he works with Sarah. You obviously know that. Oh my gosh. Antonio, you coming up with any ideas?
I'm trying to see. I was looking at the on the same 566 page, how they have the example with the mutual funds, and they have X plus Y equals 100,000. So that was like their total investment there. And I was thinking if we make something like X plus Y equals the 3 miles, because that's the total distance they travel. And then make, I don't know if we can make one of those time, and then one of those, I wasn't sure what to make the other one actually, but, or distance, I guess. I don't really know how to set it up, but I don't think you would use both of them.
So would it be easier to just do it by hours? So like, instead of doing like 3/5 or whatever, if we just did, 1 over X for John, and then 1 over X plus 1.5 for Sarah.
What over? I'm lost.
Because if we're looking for hours, because we know all of them are going 3 miles, but we need to know how many hours. So I think that needs to be where the X is. And if we do 1 mile per X for hours.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
And then, so for John, it would be 1 over x, and then Sarah would be 1 over x plus 1.5. My problem is I don't know how to set it up. I guess if we know the initial hour is 5 hours. I think we'd have to time, so oh, shoot. That's all I got.
No,
That's right.
I think you were onto something.
And sometimes how timing that and then timing that by 5 to see, or 3 for the miles.
I don't. It's just like there's no examples or anything that would even come close to it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. Should we try the other one and come back to this one? And if all else fails, we just don't get credit for that one.
Might as well try to get the other one.
Unless you guys want to keep working on it, but
Oh, I'm tired of this one. Let's try the next one.
let's put a pin in it then and let's go. Okay, a construction company frequently builds garages with an arch over the garage, similar to the one in the figure below. In order to build the arch, they need to consider the entire circle, thus where the center of the circle is and the radius of the circle. Currently, they guess and check until they get the correct height of the arch. For your information, a construction management student at BYU, Idaho brought this question to the mathematics faculty member for assistance in solving. Part A, if the garage is 18 feet wide and the owner wants the arch to have a height of 12 inches, what is the radius of the circle that is necessary to cut the arch?
So we have the picture at the bottom.
Yeah.
We have it drawn out for us. So that's nice.
So center of the circle. So I guess one of the equations, so we have 12 inches because that's the arch, right?
Right.
And then y from the horizontal line, the center of the circle. I think okay, so what if we set it up as, so where the dash line is, the center of the circle, that's a right square, right?
Yeah.
And then could we use, like find the angle of that? Would that help to find? Because we know, because it's 18 inches, so half of that would be 9 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So we have y on one side, 9 feet on the other, and then the radius we need to find.
Well, you would have, wouldn't it? You could define the radius of the circle. It would be 9 squared plus y squared equals r squared, right?
Oh yeah.
So we use a Pythagorean theorem like that, but then we would need we need another equation for either y or r, but I feel like we need one for y. So how can we figure out what y is?
Well, it has to be 12 plus something.
Right.
So 12 plus y equals x.
Or would it be y equals something minus 12?
That's true.
No, that wouldn't be it.
I think it would be easier to add 12 to another number. Is this going to be in feet or inches? Because I guess that would determine if we want.
Oh yeah, that's right. Why
If we want to convert inches into feet, because that would be just 1 foot.
Yeah. I was saying you can. Well, if you drew another triangle at the top, you'd be able to find the. You'd be able to find the hypotenuse of that triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, because we only have one side right now. What's that? What's the one that if we have one side and one angle? Is that the thing?
One side and one angle.
Oh, we have actually, because 9 feet, 12 inches. So 9 is on one side, the other one's 1, and then that is a square root as well. So we have, see on that second picture? So one side's 9 feet, the other side's 1 foot.
Yeah.
But it's not really a straight line. Just kidding, guys.
Well, it's not a straight line.
Oh, I was thinking it was a triangle, but it's more of it's the arch side, so I don't think that would work.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking, is that if we drew a triangle off of those points, then we'd find the hypotenuse.
Okay, let's try that.
So 9 squared plus 1 squared equals. Bless you.
Sorry. So if we're looking for, I think we can set one of the equations. So r for radius equals y. So that second part plus 1. So y distance from horizontal line of garage to the center of the circle. So radius would be that y plus the 12 inches, which is 1.
Oh yeah. Because that's what the radius or would it be the same? Oh yeah, because it touches the circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So what was the first equation we said?
Oh, I don't remember, but I just said r for radius equals y plus 1.
Oh well. Oh, we had the hypotenuse equation, which was r squared equals y squared plus 9. So maybe we can do that. If we have r equals y plus 1, and then we have r squared equals y squared plus 9 squared, we just plug in the r into the r squared. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then it would be y plus 1 squared equals y squared plus 9 squared.
Which is 81.
Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. I had you on mute, sorry. So y plus 1 squared equals y squared plus 9 squared, right?
Yeah.
So when you factor out the right side, you get y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals y squared plus 81, right? So you subtract the y squares, and they cancel out.
We have 2y plus 82. And then divide by 2.
Well, you'd have 2y equals 80. Because you have 2y plus 1.
But aren't we putting the other one back? So minus 81. Nope, I did that wrong. Sorry.
Are you... Did you just miswrite something?
Yeah.
So it's 80, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we get y equals 40. So now that we have y, we can figure out what r is. So if we plug it back into the first one, so r equals y plus 1, r equals 40 plus 1, which r is 41.
And that's feet. Yeah, I think that's it.
So if we do, I'm just going to do this just to double check. So 9 squared plus 40 squared equals 1681. If you take the square root of 1681, it's 41.
Hey, look at you.
There we go. Why was this one so much easier? How did we just figure this out in like 5 minutes? Oh my gosh.
Well, that was just part A, so
I think that's how math is supposed to be. I don't understand much of this chapter because I've been really busy this week. And I've been doing much, but like, that seemed way simpler
Yeah.
than literally 1 and 2 combined.
yeah.
Monique, you helped us really with that y plus 1 part. So that's what helped us a
That
lot.
was the only thing.
No, it was good. So let's see. So what is the radius of the circle that is necessary to cut the arch? So r equals 41 feet. So Antonio, did you follow all that?
I was trying to do it a longer way.
Okay.
And then
So do you want me just to walk you step by step then?
yeah,
Okay. So we have 2 equations. So
Okay.
the first one is going to be r equals y plus 1.
Okay.
And then, so do you understand where that's coming from?
I have no clue.
So look at the center of the circle.
Okay.
And then look, so there's the y distance, right? And then there's the 12 inches on top of it, right?
Okay.
So we changed the 12 inches to a foot, so we can change everything into feet. So if you go from the center of the circle,
Oh,
do y and the 1 foot, that's the radius. Because it goes to the edge of the circle, right?
okay. I see where you got that.
So we have r equals y plus 1. And then we also have, to find the radius of the circle using that triangle, we did r squared equals y squared plus 9 squared. So we used the Pythagorean theorem.
Okay.
And then so we plugged in r equals y plus 1 for the r in the second equation. So what it comes out, so what the left side is it's y plus 1 squared in parentheses
Okay.
equals y squared plus 9 squared.
Okay.
So we factored out the y plus 1, so it's y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals y
Okay.
squared plus 81.
Okay.
So we subtracted the y squared from both sides and they cancel out. And then we subtracted the 1 to the other side to the 81, so it ends up being 2y equals 80.
Okay.
And then solve for y equals 40.
All right.
So it's so y equals 40 feet, and then we plug the y back into the r equals y plus 1. So r equals 40 plus 1, and then r ends up being 41 feet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Why couldn't no 1 and 2 be like that?
I know. And then so it says B. So this question can be answered by building and solving. Then so it just gives us a picture. And then C says write a system of two equations with two unknowns R and Y, and solve the system of equations using substitution or elimination.
Which we already just did, right?
We just did the substitution.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can put B right next to that same thing.
Yeah. So
Our two equations is R equals Y plus 1 and R squared equals Y squared plus 9 squared. They both have two unknowns.
Yeah.
I have to get another paper.
Wait, so B says the same thing, right? Write a system of two equations with two unknowns and solve the system equation. So I think we answered the whole question.
Yeah, we just did the whole thing. But if you want to make sure, just write C and then just put the two equations. And then you can say C part A for the, like, she can see the rest of it. Does that make sense?
Oh, what? Oh, sorry. I'm trying to write. I'm trying to get all of 3 on one paper neatly.
Do we want to try to do the handcart one again, or are you guys done?
I'm trying. I want to see it one more time because this is literally frustrating. How these other two work.
It's probably easier than we're trying to make it seem.
We always do that though.
Yeah, we like to make things hard.
Yeah.
That's my life for you.
For real, honestly. So when Sarah and John are working together, they can move their handcart 3 miles in 5 hours. It takes Sarah 1.5 hours longer to move the handcart the same distance when she's working alone than it takes John. How long does it take John to move the handcart 3 miles when doing it himself? So if it says it takes Sarah 1.5 hours longer to move the handcart the same distance when she's working alone than it takes John, then that means she moves the handcart 3 miles in 6.5 hours, right?
I would say yes.
Okay, so then
I think what I'm trying, if I can, how we set up the X and Y's, I think if we did that, I think everything else would fall into place.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out is which ones we set X and Y's to.
Yeah.
Is it the Sarah and John, or is it the hours and the miles?
I think I like the X for hours. I think that makes sense.
Okay, so then how would we write that? So you said,
So they're doing 3 miles in 5 hours. So I think I keep going back to 1 over X, but then that doesn't do the 3 miles. Like that doesn't take into account the 3 miles. Would it be 3 over 5X? That doesn't make sense.
If Sarah and John were working together, wouldn't that just be the average of their two, of their hours?
Yeah. Then what would that be? So x plus 1.5 times x on one side.
So to find your average, you have to add. See, to find the average, you add. I don't know how to word this correctly.
I think we have to. So John takes x amount of time. Sarah takes x plus 1.5. Because if we times that into it, it would be x squared plus 1.5x. And that's closer to what kind of equations we've been working with. And then equals is where I'm having a hard time because that would have to be the miles and hours on the one side.
So this is another thing I'm thinking. So I was talking about averages. So if it takes Sarah 1.5 hours longer to move the same handcart, so she's taking 6.5 hours, right?
Yes.
So if you do 6.5, so hers plus John's hours, which is I'm gonna say is x.
No.
And divided by 2, because that's how you find the average. Equals 5 hours.
Sorry, go back to 1.5 times 5 hours. That would be 7.5, right? Not 6.5.
Wait, say that again.
You said 1.5 times 5 hours would be 7.5.
Oh no. So what I was saying is, so I have 6.5, so that's Sarah's hours, right?
But how did you get that?
Oh, because it said she takes 1.5 hours longer to move the handcart the same distance.
Yeah, so 1.5 times 5 hours is 7.5.
Is it 1.5 extra hours, or is it 1.5 like times the hours?
So I did 1.5 times 5.
Okay, so you're saying she's taking
7.5 hours.
Okay. So if we did it that way, so it'd be 7.5 plus x, which is going to be John's hours, divided by 2 equals 5 hours, which is the average between both of them, right?
Yes.
So if I was to solve for x, so I have 6.5. So if I added the 2 to the other side, or if I multiplied the 2 to the other side to cancel the 2, right?
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I know you follow your train of thought, but I just thought of something with the 7.5. So 5 hours, so 5x plus 7.5 for Sarah plus 5x for John. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
So if we did 5x, because it's 5 hours times x, plus 7.5, because that's how many hours it takes Sarah, plus 5x again for John's hours. And then if we equal it to, I think it's that, what I was saying, that x plus 1.5 times x on the other side.
1.5 times x, you said?
Well, yeah, x plus 1.5, and then that whole thing times x. So it would be x squared plus 1.5x.
Okay.
Because then if we combine, trying to get into one side where it's x squared, because then we can factor or use the quadratic formula.
So on one side,
the average one. Sorry, I interrupted you. That was rude.
The average one didn't make sense because it gave me 3.5, but that doesn't make sense because it says it takes them longer than it would with Sarah.
Yeah. Because I think it would be, so to get rid of the fractions, because it would be one over, because 1 mile or 1 over 5 hours or x.
I think you're right. Is if we do this in ratios.
Yeah. So I think if we, I think I'm like almost really positive that the x plus 1.5 for Sarah times x for John, I think that is one side of the equation.
I know there's going to be 2.
Yeah. But I think we equal it to, and I think it's that 7.5, because I think that definitely is how you figure out Sarah's time. But then we have to somehow add it to,
Or would there be 3 equations?
well, I think there's 3 because you have John, Sarah, and then together, and then you have to like plug it back into John's equation.
Yeah, so if we did x plus y, like Sarah's hours and John's hours are going to add up to 5. And then we have Sarah's x, right? So 1.5x equals shoot. Oh, I thought I was on the right track.
So what if we just Sarah takes 7.5 hours. What if we added that to something?
Well, that's the thing I'm confused is I'm not sure if it's like I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not sure if it's 1.5 times more or 1.5 more because it says she takes 1.5 hours longer.
Yeah, I think for Sarah it's x plus 1.5.
That's what, okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So that's like where, I don't know if that makes sense. So x plus 1.5, and then x is John's hours. So then that goes down to.
So why would they multiply each other though?
Oh, instead of plusing?
Yeah.
Good point.
I know, I got what you were saying, but.
So then it would be x squared plus 1.5, right? Instead. Because you add, or 2x plus 1.5.
Yes.
2x plus 1.5 equals 5 for 5 hours. And then solve for x.
Yeah. So, let's see. So if you did 5, so if you solve for x, so you'd have 5 minus 1.5.
So that'd be 7/4.
It'd be 3.5, and you divide that by 2, you'd have 1.75.
Which is 7/4. That's 7 miles in 4 hours.
Well, we'd have to wait. So they're trying to figure it out how long it takes them to move it in 3.
Then I think we'd have to take that equation and plug it into a different one.
I think we had the ratios right. Is so maybe it's x plus 1.5 over 3. So it's going to be all over 3 because they're miles. And then plus come on, Mitchell. You just had it. So Sarah's hours would be, so that's how long it would take Sarah is x plus 1.5 over 3. Right? Does that make sense?
What was the second part, right?
That's what I'm trying to get this at. I can't remember what the second part is. So John's would just be, wouldn't his be y? Because he's separate?
Yeah. So we have x plus 1.5 over 3.
Plus y over 3 equals, would be 5 over 3?
Yeah. And then could we times everything by 3 to get rid of it? And so then it would be 3x plus 4.5 plus 3y equals 5.
So you multiply. Wait,
So
so you're
we
saying,
need to isolate one variable and then go back and plug it in.
so you're saying you multiplied which by what by 3?
Well, since everything's by 3, if we multiply by 3 to get rid of the fraction,
Wouldn't it just cancel out the 3's on the other side? So then you'd just be left with x plus 1.5 plus y equals 5.
yep, you're smart. Thank you. And then let's isolate x, and then we'll have plug x that back into y.
Okay, so then it would be x equals 3.5 minus y.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we put x back into the top, so we put it into the x plus 1.5 over 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have 3.5 minus y plus 1.5 over 3 plus y over 3 equals 5 over 3. So then that comes out to be 5 minus y plus y equals 5 over 3. So then you multiply by 3 again, right, to cancel everything?
Yeah.
Then you get 5.
But that equals 0 equals 0. Right? Because negative y plus y.
Yes.
Y minus 5 is 0, so that's 0, 0.
Goodness gracious, I thought we had it.
I thought, wait, I think that's good. So on the homework, I remember that on the very first problems that we did, if you had a problem where it was 0 equals to 0, it was dependent. Or, yeah, I think it was like dependent. And so there was, let me go back to the homework. Oh, wait, can we use the homework?
Yeah, we can use your notes.
Because I swear there's something about when you do it and then you get 0 equals 0.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to look in the book too to see where they get that.
Okay, so when it's 0 equals 0, the system is dependent, and so whatever you make whatever your I guess equation, whatever you have as the equation, that's actually the solution. They write it out as what is it, like the bracket and then in parentheses x comma y, close the parentheses, and then that line, and then what your equation is, and then close with the bracket again. I'm going to show it here. You know what?
I see it. It's on page 563 if you want to look at it. It says the same exact thing.
Okay.
Talking about the dependent solution.
Well, it is dependent because it depends on how long it takes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had x, y, and then they had the equation.
But it also depends on if we have that equation right or not. You know, if we're plugging it back in. Because technically, even though it is dependent, but the question is asking how long it takes, so it has to be some sort of like.
Oh yeah. Yes, darn it.
Well, I wasn't right at all then.
Or maybe we just don't have the right equation to plug it back into. I say we put all the work that we've done so far.
Yeah.
There's hours.
You have enough work on there, Antonio, or
I got a bunch of like crossed out work.
so did you follow what we were doing right there?
I followed that, how you got the 0 equals 0, but I didn't follow, because I was trying to write number 3. I didn't follow the first ones that you were doing, but I did follow that last one that you did.
So did you get the x plus 1.5 over 3 plus y over 3 equals 5 over 3?
The x plus 1.5 over 3 plus y over 3 equals 5 over 3. Yeah.
Okay, and then
Yeah, I got it from there.
so just use that as our work and say that's
Okay.
what we used, because she still gives us points for doing work at least.
Well, I can't do this anymore, guys.
I
Right?
We've been at it for 2 hours, and I've barely I've been thinking, and this is not. My brain's fried right now.
I have one last question though before we leave, because on number 2, so I got all the way. I couldn't write down fast enough what Monique figured on how to get the 5, 4, and 4, 5. I was still doing the synthetic division stuff.
On which one?
On number 2, you know how you went from where we were stuck on the x. We still had the x to the 4. What was that?
On question number 1?
No, on question. Was it 1? Yeah, never mind. Wait, number 1.
Oh, so like this part?
Wait. So you did end up still taking the x out, or?
No, so on the first, no, number 1, where it was x minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So what we did, we took the square root to get rid of it. And so we started with x minus 4 plus y minus 2 equals 3. And then we plugged in the y into that. So we had x minus 4 and then plus negative x squared plus 8x minus 11 minus 2 as the second part, and then equals 3. And then you can see this is combining it.
So reduced.
We just combine like terms.
Mm.
Want me to read it out loud? Is that easier?
I'm almost done.
You're talking about the right side, Monique, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm writing. If you're talking about the right side, I'm writing that down.
Yeah. So
Yeah, she's talking about the right side, not the left side.
Okay.
The side she's pointing to where her finger is.
Sorry, does that help? My chicken scratch.
Hey.
I can read it out loud too if it's easier. So
Yeah.
what part are you at?
So, well, I got down to x minus 5, and then it says x. Is that minus or plus 4?
So what
is minus? Sorry.
So it's x squared minus 9x plus 20.
Uh-huh.
And then I factored that out. So x minus 5, x minus 4.
Okay.
And then solving for x, so it would be 5 and 4. And then we plugged it back into the second equation. So it's kind of, I didn't do all my work on paper.
That's okay. I'll do that one then. I just didn't know which one.
Did you
I
get
didn't know how
the
to get
did you
to
get the
that.
solution points though?
Huh?
Did you write down the solution points?
Yeah, the 5. It was 5, comma 4 and 4, comma 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just confused. How you got to that x5 and x4.
Oh.
Okay. But I'll write all that down in a neater way.
And then just put our work for that hand cart
I
one,
will.
and hopefully we'll get partial credit at least.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we earned that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put the link in the Google chat, and then if you'll submit that in with the group quiz, is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to meet Saturday and do the lesson the second?
I really don't want to.
No,
Kidding, I will. But it would have to be early because I'm going out with some friends for brunch on Saturday.
What time are you thinking?
So I'm going at 11, so we'd have to be like, well, it depends on how long it takes, like 8:30 or 9 a.m.
Has anybody looked at the material yet for this part?
I haven't done the homework yet either.
You don't want to? You thought
You
this
don't
was
want to?
bad.
I've looked at it already, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are okay meeting early in the morning, I can definitely do that.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
So Saturday at 9.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, yeah, let's do that, just so we can make sure we get all this situated.
Okay, Saturday at 9.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank-
Bye.
Bye.